Hi, it's Jane. Finished items. I did finish the iris Afghan. I'm going to put a picture here, as well as a picture of the other doll clothes that I have finished, that I have sent on. This is the only other thing I did. Did that this morning. This doll clothes, and I thought I would show you how it works. You would just slide it up over the doll. And there she's got a cute little dress. This is the one that I've been doing with the 20 stitches. This is Kobu thread. Like I said, 3-way thread works fine for this. You know, if you wanted to, you could add some straps along the top of it, whatever. So yeah, that is it. The only other thing is, I have started working on a couple of squares with the, hang on. Okay, I had also started doing a couple of squares for the, for a Christmas Afghan. These are 5-inch squares, and these are 6-inch. I have quite a bit of Christmas-ish yarn, so I thought I would make 2 different sizes on that. And I've got a couple more of those squares in the back that I just didn't bring up front. So that has been it as far as what I've been doing, other than cutting some bags to be done, to be sewn this week. During Thanksgiving week, I have most of the week off. After tonight, I do have to go to my job tonight, but that tomorrow morning as of 9 a.m., I have the rest of the week off. So I plan on doing a lot of sewing and a lot of things that I would like to do just for me. In fact, you know, just fun stuff. I am going to include here a video of the cat tree that I'd purchased for the cats and put together. They still don't understand what it's for. I'm not sure my cats are bright enough, but I figure eventually they'll get used to it. They're so used to having boxes in the corner there, from where I had started boxing things up in case the house sold. It looked like I had someone that was going to purchase it. They chose not to. So those I'm going to move into the closet, and that way the cats will have to figure it out that that's what the cat tree is for them to climb up on. So, anyway, here's the video of them checking it out. And that is it. That is all I've been up to, other than cleaning and, those kind of things. So, we'll move on to what in Tarnation. There's quite a few stories. And of course, the story that tugs at a lot of hearts today is that the beloved, if you remember correctly, a few years ago I'd showed the video of the cat train master, station master, there in Japan, who would sit at the station railway when folks had come in. Well, that cat has passed away, and that is Natima. She served as the second cat station master at Kishi Station in Kinowa, Wakayama Prefecture. She passed away on Thursday. Her appetite had declined since late October. She'd been resting from her station master duties since November the 4th. The firm will hold a company funeral at the station at 12:30 p.m. December the 13th. Natima was a female cat aged 15, equivalent to about 75 years in human years, named Natima or Tama 2. She served as subordinate to the first cat station master, the calico cat named Tama. After Tama passed away in June 2015, she became the second station master of the Kishi Station at Kashigawa Line. Yeah, I'm butchering the names. Sorry about that. Natima promoted a calendar in the Wakayama City. Her adorable appearance helped promote the railroad company and contributed to an increase in overseas tourists. She was later promoted to roles such as deputy president. Japan is in mourning today after she had passed away. So she was one that was, between her and Tama, they were considered the cats that rescued the rural train line, which had been having all kinds of declines in ridership before the feline station masters were hired. So, yeah, these poor little kitty cats have gone on to see their maker. Perhaps there will be a third station master that comes up to help continue with the responsibility of those stations. All right, Superman #1 from 1939 auction for a record-breaking, are you ready? $9.12 million. A 1939 copy of Superman #1 has become the world's most expensive comic book after being auctioned for a super-heroic $9.12 million. Heritage Auction said the comic book was found by a Northern California family while they were cleaning out the attic of their mother's home after her death last year. The comic book, which was in a cardboard box with some old newspapers, was examined by CGC, the world's largest third-party comics grading service, and given a rating of 9.0 out of 10, making it the highest graded copy of Superman #1 known to still exist. It is one of only 7 known copies with a grading of 6.0 or higher. The comic sold for $9.12 million on Thursday, breaking the previous record of $6 million, which was set in 2024 when Heritage Auctions sold a copy of Action Comics #1, the comic featuring the first appearance of Superman. Superman #1 is a milestone in pop culture history, and this copy is not only unprecedented condition, but it has movie-worthy story behind it. Heritage Auctions, let's get the mouth to work correctly. Vice President Lon Allen said in a news release, "I was glad to see the price reflect that, and am honored Heritage was entrusted with this iconic comic book." Jim Halperin, co-founder of Heritage Auctions, said the sale could someday be remembered as an early stage of popular culture collecting trajectory into the upper reaches of the auction field. The value and historical importance of these objects are becoming even more well known to collectors all over the world. Unfortunately, there is not a link. You might be able to go to Heritage Auctions, maybe on their Instagram page, or I don't know if they have a TikTok page, Facebook page, where you might be able to see the comic book if you want to go look. Other than that, there's no link. Sorry about that. Now this story concerns me, but I'm glad that this little one is safe. Bear chases 11-year-old into Family Dollar store in Pennsylvania. A cashier at a Family Dollar store in Pennsylvania was in for a surprise when a panicked 11-year-old boy ran through the front doors, pursued by a bear. Cole Frazee said he was outside the Family Dollar store in Markleysburg while waiting for his father to finish shopping when he spotted the Bruin. I was like, probably going to get eaten by a bear. When it runs after me, I turn around, I run into the store, I'm screaming and stuff. This thing was 1.5 feet away from me. I took a left and the bear went straight. Frazee and the store's cashier jumped onto a counter to keep watch on the bear's movements. She grabbed her coat, the keys, and the phone, and we ran out of there. When we ran out of there, we all got in the car. Surveillance footage shows the bear climbing atop the same counter Frazee had been occupying just moments earlier. The bear finally left the store on its own accord after about 10 minutes. Family Dollar employees said there was no major damage to the store and no one was injured during the incident. It was definitely a crazy experience. One of the first things you learn is you do not run. Bears will chase you. But I am glad that he was safe. And honestly, bears, the amount of force that they have behind them is terrifying. This morning while I was helping to man the Operation Christmas Child, they were talking about the story of a horse who had come across a bear that came running after him. The horse was running, and that the bear took a swipe at its hind end, and the hind end, with the force of it, just opened up completely. So be careful around bears and don't run. It's not recommended. You remember that website, bears.org? You can find information on what to do when you encounter a bear. Lots of good information there. Now this next one, I am so glad that they did this. I have seen a lot of issues with AI, and I am going to say this on my own. I was looking at some videos on YouTube, and you know how many times they have an ad up in the corner, the right-hand corner. There was a pornographic ad that was up there. Showed a woman in a collar and a man with his naked appendage heading towards her. And that was an ad on YouTube. Yeah. Now that most likely was an AI generated ad that was put out there. But I was not happy to see it. Company pulls AI-powered talking teddy bear toy for giving sex advice. An AI-powered talking teddy bear has been removed from sale by a Singapore-based company after researchers found it could discuss sex and other topics. The public interest research group said a group of researchers from the U.S. and Canada held test conversations with Kuma, a $99 teddy bear, powered by OpenAI's GPT-4o chatbot. The bear is manufactured in China and marketed by Singapore-based Folo Toy. The researchers said they found it easy to get Kuma to discuss sexually explicit topics, including spanking, role play, and BDSM. We were surprised to find out how quickly Kuma would take a single sexual topic we introduced into the conversation and run with it, simultaneously escalating in graphic detail while introducing new sexual concepts of its own, the report said. Team said the bear discussed even more graphic sexual topics in detail, such as explaining different sex positions, giving step-by-step instructions on a common knot for beginners for tying up a partner, and describing a role-play dynamics involving teachers and students and parents and children, scenarios it's disturbingly brought up by itself. The researchers said the teddy bear also offered other worrisome advice, such as where to find sharp knives in the house. Folo Toy CEO Larry Wang said the Kumo bear and the rest of the company's line of AI-enabled toys have been removed from sale. He told CNN the company is conducting an internal safety audit. An open AI representative told PRIG that Folo's license to use ChatGPT 4.0 has been suspended for violating our policies. It's AI. It's smart. It's dangerous. I mean, you can't even trust the news these days that they're using AI for news, so. Mysterious bubbling off California coast tied to a construction project. And when you see the video, you'll see that the first thing they thought is it was AI generated. However, it is not. A mysterious bubbling off the California coast sparked speculation of submarine activity or flatulent whales before being revealed as mundane construction. Residents of the Hermosa Beach area spotted the bubbling in the water this week, sparking speculation of phenomenon including bluefin tuna activity, submarines in the area, alien visitors, or even farting whales. The answer turned out to be work on a fiber optic lines across the Pacific Ocean from California to Asia. Rick Davini, who was overseeing the contract work, said Meta, the parent company of Facebook, is planning to add a line in the coming months. A part of the preparation process is blowing air through the line to ensure ducts are working properly. The city of Hermosa Beach has previously issued a construction notice November the 6th related to the same project. The notice warned of street closures along Longfellow Avenue next to the shore, but did not mention the work off the coast. Now, I did think this next one's story was very interesting watching the video. Because it's interesting how they removed this. Concrete-covered owl rescued after falling into mixer in Utah. An animal rescue group in Utah came to the assistance of a great horned owl that fell into a mixture and ended up partially covered in dried concrete. The Best Friends Animal Sanctuary Wild Friends Rehabilitation Center in Kanab stepped in when the owl was found to have fallen into a concrete mixer and wound up with about 25% of its body covered in dry concrete. We reached out to other wildlife rehabilitators, and they had never heard of an owl falling into concrete before either. Bart Richwalski, the Best Friends Animal Society's Wild Friends supervisor, said in a news release. After doing some research, our team quickly came up with a plan to help the owl in the least invasive way possible. The process involved giving the 2-pound owl baths for 20 minutes a day while under anesthesia to slowly remove the concrete from its body. This was a brand new situation for the Wild Friends team, and they really stepped up to the plate to do their best for this owl. Their innovative approach and compassionate care is such a beautiful testament to best friends' belief that every animal deserves a second chance. The juvenile male owl is now recovering and was able to reach a 6-foot-high perch without assistance. The sanctuary said the owl will be kept at the facility until spring or summer so it can molt its old feathers and regain full flight abilities. The avian will eventually be released back into the wild near the location where it fell into the mixer. He still has a long road ahead of him, but he's a fighter. I can't imagine being in a coffee shop and having a parrot steal coffee. Coffee stealing parrot captured at South Korean cafe. Police were called to a cafe in South Korean capital to wrangle a colorful coffee connoisseur, a loose parrot. The Korean Animal Rescue and Management Association said police were called to the coffee shop in Yangpang-dong on a report of a loose parrot dropping by and stealing coffee from the customers. The parrot, reported to be friendly, was fed snacks by the cafe's owner and allowed customers to pet it while waiting for the police to arrive. This was a brand new situation for The bird is believed to be a yellow-crowned Amazon parrot native to Central America. The species is endangered and not legal to be kept as a pet in South Korea without special permits. The Han River Basin Environmental Office is working to confirm the identification. The Korean Animal Rescue and Management Association said the parrot appears to be in good health and was likely well cared for before its escape. Authorities are now trying to identify the bird's owner to determine whether it can be returned home. If the parrot cannot be returned home to its owner, it will be cared for by the site's animal care facility and the Ministry of Environment's National Institute of Ecology. And who doesn't love a seal that jumps onto a boat to escape whales? Seal jumps on boat to escape killer whales. A group of amateur whale watchers off the coast of Washington's Camano Island captured video when a seal jumped onto their boat to escape a pod of killer whales. Photographer Charvet Drucker captured video of the encounter November the 2nd when she and her friends spotted the pod of orcas in the Saratoga Passage. We were out on the boat watching some orcas about 300 to 400 yards away from them when the hunt began, Drucker wrote on Facebook. The group noticed the killer whales were engaging in predation behavior with the seal. Smith Saramuskel, another member of the whale watching party, said on Facebook the pod had been using him as hunting practice and he'd been batted up out of the water more than once. The group shut off the boat's engine in case the animals came closer. Just over half an hour later, the seal came even closer than expected. It jumped onto the boat. The whale watchers said the orcas circled the boat in search of the seal but gave up and left after about 15 minutes. The group eventually restarted the boat's engine and headed back toward shore with its semi-aquatic passenger still on deck. Once we got closer to shore, the seal decided it felt safe enough to leave the boat and jump off on its own accord. And there's video. This next story, there is no video, but there are pictures if you go and look at the link. And I'm sure this is awful bizarre. We had this question this morning. If you have an eagle swoop down and catch your animal, do you have a right to shoot it? Legally, no. Bald eagles are protected, so there's that. All right, North Carolina driver recounts bizarre incident after a cat crashed through her windshield. And it's a little graphic, but bear with me. I'll try not to be as graphic as some of the story talks about. What began as a typical drive to work spiraled into an unexpected when a bald eagle unexpectedly dropped a cat from its grasp, sending it crashing through the windshield of a 28-year-old North Carolina's woman's car. On Wednesday morning, Militia Schlarb was driving from her home near Robbinsville to her job as a bank teller in Cherokee. She was in the left lane on US 74 around 8 a.m. when she looked up and saw a bald eagle. She said, "I drive that road every single morning, but this time I did see the bald eagle coming from a distance, and I'm not used to seeing them there." I was like, wow, that's amazing. Her feeling of awe at the sight of nature in flight turned to terror in seconds. "I realized it had something with it," she said. In the eagle's talons, its claws, was a dead cat. "At that point, it was coming close to my car. It was pretty far up in the sky," she added, but then she said the eagle quickly got closer. "Once I realized it was a cat that it barely had a hold on it, and it dropped right onto my windshield. It all happened so fast." A nearby driver on US 74 helped her guide her off the road, telling Sharp that he'd watched the entire incident unfold. Now the dead cat was now in her car and her windshield was totally destroyed. She could see the cat in her passenger seat. There was glass everywhere. It was like a bomb had gone off, and of course she just slammed on her brakes. She also had cat parts all over her. I'm going to leave that there. She safely pulled off the road, called her boss at the bank to inform them of the situation. But in fact, her boss was just a few minutes behind her on the highway and pulled over to Schlarb, who wasn't going to be making it into work. Thankfully, the cat was dead long before it hit my windshield. A sheriff's deputy, and there are reasons why she said that, and if you want to read the whole story, you can read it there at the link. Sheriff's deputy, along with 2 wildlife officers, pulled up to make sure that she was okay. She said she had to have the car towed to replace the windshield, but she said she's unsure if her insurance will cover the cost. The first insurance person I spoke to was like, "You're going to be the talk of the whole division. We never hear stories like this. But of course, insurance is a battle, so I'm trying to get them to help me out. They won't pay for the wrecker or anything, so I'll have to talk to them again." So far, she's spent quite a bit of money on this. She's definitely going to keep a closer look on her cat because she realized the eagle was after the cat for food. She's also aware that her story is starting to go viral. "It is shocking to me it's getting so much attention. Honestly, I've read comments people have left about the post. Oh, it's insurance fraud. There's no way a cat could leave that big of a hole. I wouldn't believe it either if I wasn't there." She said she's been reflecting on the freak accident, thinking about the fact that the cat was dropped on her passenger side, not the driver's side. She could have been killed. She just thanks God that it wasn't a different scenario. Even a shift a little bit more in her direction could have landed on her face, could have been a completely different story. She might not even be there at this point. I thank God, even though it happened, that it happened the way it did. If you go and you search, you will find the dispatch call that she made, where she called the dispatch and said something to the effect, "I don't think you're going to believe this, but I had a bald eagle drop a cat onto my windshield on the highway. So-and-so, I don't know where I'm at," and that kind of thing. So yes, there's a lot of interesting stuff with that story. But, like I said, tried to leave a lot of that gory part out because nobody wants to see that or hear it. All right, we're ready for a devotional. God's help in trouble. And I think I'm going to need my glasses. Sometimes the print's easy to read, sometimes it's not. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Have you ever been outside in the heat of summer, parched and longing for a cold drink, when suddenly, as if on cue, a cool breeze comes out of nowhere and refreshes you? At times, it may seem as if God has dispatched the ideal breeze just for you. The invisible God of Scripture is always there, closer than your breath. See Romans 10:8. The mere whisper of His name invites His presence to meet you right where you are at that very moment, with exactly what you need to feel relief amid trouble. As David wrote in his psalm, God is a very present help. In fact, as we begin to gain confidence in His being present, we realize to an increasing degree that He can serve as a refuge spiritually and psychologically, and He even keeps us from physical harm. As you learn to rely on this place of refuge, you can develop a resilient strength that empowers you to stand strong despite your present circumstances. This strength can empower you to overcome setbacks, disappointments, and even overt failure. Such strength gives you the ability to ask, seek, and knock until God's deliverance comes to pass. Reflect. If I could see God in all His majestic power and strength hovering over me right now, how would that change how I feel about my current situation? Pray. Father God, I invite your presence to be with me now. Thank you for your promise to never leave me nor forsake me. I look beyond the seen realm to acknowledge you as my refuge and strength. As I put my trust in you, I look forward to seeing your deliverance as my spiritual forefathers did so long ago. Declare, God is my refuge and strength in every situation. Act. Make a list of every time God has delivered you from trouble or potential failure. Use this list as the beginning of a testimonies list, which you can update and be encouraged by as you trust God in times of trouble. And that is it for today's video. So I hope that you got something interesting out of it. There will be some more videos later on this week, and I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll see you again soon.